So tell me, what is it that you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? If this quote sounds familiar, it is in Mary Oliver's poem, Summer Day. And I'm always stopped in my tracks when I hear this quote because it really helps you think about whether or not you're on the right path and whether or not you're wasting your life. If you're watching this and you're wondering, what am I meant to do with my life? I feel stuck. I feel hopeless. I feel overwhelmed. I just feel like my life is messy. It's not clear. I don't know what my purpose is. I am going to share some advice I hope will help you in discovering your purpose and leading a life with more meaning and fulfillment and passion. So let's dive in. So when I meet with coaching clients for an initial session, about 15 to 30 minutes into the session, I hear some variation of, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. I'm sorry, I'm a mess. I'm sorry, I'm not more coherent. And what I say to these clients is, it is all okay. Figuring out your life is a messy process. I think there's this misconception in our society that most people just have life figured out. They know exactly what they're supposed to do and they go do it. When the truth is, those individuals, especially ones I admire and respect the most, often have gone through major trials and tribulations. They have experienced depression. They may have even gone through a dark night of the soul. If you're watching this video and you feel like you should have everything figured out, no matter what your age, know that it is the rare person who, as a child, knows, I'm meant to be an actress, or I'm meant to be a doctor, or I'm meant to be an architect. Most people are figuring out their life as they go. They're discovering who they are, which then helps them figure out, what is my purpose in life? So I wanted to make this video to help people who are feeling lost. And I'm going to start with Elizabeth Gilbert's story. Many of you likely know of Elizabeth Gilbert because she wrote the New York Times best-selling book, Eat, Pray, Love. How this book came about was actually due to The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. Elizabeth was 30 years old. In the midst of a divorce, she was suffering from depression, and her life turned upside down. The life she thought she wanted was not the life that she actually realized she wanted. And so a friend gave her a copy of The Artist's Way, and she started doing the morning pages. For those of you who are not familiar with the morning pages, essentially every morning you write 3 pages. First thing, and it's stream of consciousness. No judgment. No one reads the morning pages except for yourself. And Julia Cameron says you can write about the petty, what you have to get done for the day, to the profound. These are my hopes and dreams. And so what Elizabeth said about The Artist's Way and the morning pages is this. When you're done doing The Artist's Way, you go back and you read through all your journals. And you see what keeps showing up, because that's your clue as to what the next direction of your life should be. What kept showing up for me was, apparently I really wanted to learn how to speak Italian because it was on almost every page. And this is the beautiful thing about the way that the mind hides things from us. I literally didn't know that about myself. I had no idea that it was such a big deal in my life that apparently my consciousness really wanted to learn how to speak Italian. So what I find fascinating about Elizabeth Gilbert's story is that she followed her curiosity to learn Italian. And in fact, when Elizabeth is asked by people, how do I discover my purpose? How can I live a more passionate life? Elizabeth tells them, follow your curiosity. And you think about how writing in her morning pages, I want to learn Italian. She ended up taking an Italian class. Then she booked a trip to Italy, India, and Indonesia. Then the book Eat, Pray, Love was born. Then a blockbuster film was made. Elizabeth says, if it wasn't for The Artist's Way in the morning pages, she likely would have never written Eat, Pray, Love. So I encourage all of you to think about, what are you curious about? And what is preventing you from following your curiosity? Are you worried about failure? Are you worried about rejection? Do you not have enough time? Because you do not want to look back on your life and think, if only I had taken that cooking class or the Italian class or learned more about a certain subject, how would my life have turned out? So I want to share a story of one of my clients who discovered his passion and purpose later in life. So I met with John, not his real name, a number of months ago. John was working in a factory, and he happened to ask himself this question in the middle of the night, because he worked the night shift. Is this where I want to be 20 years from now? It was a pretty loud and profound no. So John then asked himself, what am I curious about? What do I want to learn more about? And he realized as a child, he had this interest in computers. Now in his spare time, he would learn different coding languages. He just thought, what if I went back to school and pursued a computer science degree? So John took advantage of tuition reimbursement offered by his employer, and he returned to school at age 40, did not have a college degree at this point. He took CS classes during the day, worked in the factory at night, and he became an iOS developer. I think John's story is really inspiring because he had the courage to ask himself, is this it? Is this all that my life has to offer? And by the way, if there's anyone who is working in a factory and they feel very fulfilled, then by all means, pursue that path. However, for those of you who may want more challenge or more fulfillment, I think it is important to really question the direction of your life and know that it's not too late. When I think about John's story, I wondered, when did he sleep? He's going to school during the day. He's working at night, and he said he would catch a few hours of sleep during the day before he went off to the factory. And so there were sacrifices to be made. But John ended up securing a job at a top Fortune 500 company. He quadrupled his income, and he was able to buy a farm. And I found out that while John is quite passionate about engineering, he has an idea for an app. He wants to set this goal of 1 million downloads. He actually has a bigger vision for his life. He wants to spend time on his farm with his cows and horses, and he does not want to spend his days in front of a computer. He's 50 years old, and he has yet another goal that he would like to pursue. And the reason I share this is because you don't need to necessarily be passionate about your job. John obviously is, but I've met many people who decide, I'm going to work this 9-to-5 job, and it's going to help fuel my passion. There are other people who really want to combine their passion and purpose and be paid for it, and that's perfectly fine. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. You have to figure out, what is it that I need to do to be more fulfilled, to be more engaged, to feel more challenged, to feel like I'm reaching my potential. So in closing, I recommend a couple of different things. Number one, purchase The Artist's Way and start committing to daily morning pages. Second, follow your curiosity. As Elizabeth Gilbert did, notice what keeps coming up on each page that you write every morning. Third, ask yourself the question that John did. Is this where I want to be 20 years from now? If not, what action do I need to take to change the course of my life? Thank you so much for taking time to watch. I would love to hear from you, whether it's a private message or whether it's a comment below. What is your bigger vision for your life? What is one action that you want to take to pursue that vision? Stay tuned for the next video. Take care.